So it's like texting the universe 47 times a day. Is it here yet? Did you get my request? Is it working? Energetically, it's giving clingy ex vibes. You ever had that ex where you're like, ugh, super clingy? That's what it's like. So let's talk about detachment, how to release what's out of your hands and manifest from a place of deep trust and power. Here's the thing. You can want something so deeply, but the moment you start obsessing over it or overthinking it, forcing it, or panicking, you're actually pushing it away because attachment equals fear. And fear blocks your flow. But detachment says, I know it's coming. I'm chill. I'm not pressed. I trust it's already aligning. And what is detachment? Let's be really, really clear on what detachment is. Detachment doesn't mean that you don't care. And it means that you stop controlling the how, the who, and the timeline. So it's like choosing to feel good now before the things show up. And it's saying, I trust this or something even better, it's on its way. Nobody wants to live a life where they're like constantly overthinking and stressed about the outcome. So it's really about living in the present moment. Water a seed and dig it up every day to see it's growing. You plant the water, you trust the sun, and you give it time. So the same goes for our manifestations. So here's how I'm going to tell you how to detach from everything and manifest anything you want. Here's how you shift your energy and stay in alignment. So step one, focus on that feeling and not the form. So by that I mean, if you want love, focus on the feeling of being loved. You want abundance. You focus on that feeling of free, expansive, and supportive energy. And the universe responds to that energy, not the spreadsheets and not the ultimatums. Step two is move with inspired action. Inspired action. So you take the steps that feel fully aligned and not like rushed or panicked or like urgent. And ask yourself, if I already knew it was mine, what would I do today? That's the frequency you want to embody. The frequency of, it is already mine. So what action am I going to take to do that thing knowing that it's already mine? Step three is letting go of the timeline. Divine timing is absolutely real. Your job is to keep your vibe clean, your heart open, and your faith solid. Now, here's where we go really deep because this is a step that a lot of people have a hard time with. And me personally, I've had a hard time in my life going through this, but in the moments that I actually implemented this, I found magic. I found manifestations come to life where it was so easy and it was so aligned. So this part is releasing the things that you cannot control. Now, this is where we go really deep into this. Releasing what's out of your control is this radical act of self-trust and surrender. It's not controlling the outcome because the unknown is scary. And a lot of times we want to be able to control those things when we don't know what it's going to look like. So we're trying to control that outcome. So what you want to do is really name what's not yours to carry. So write it down, say it out loud. So say, this is not mine to fix. You are not out of the timeline. You are not other people's decisions. You are not the how. You are not the vibe. Do this every day. Say this to yourself. Use this mantra. I release control. I trust the process. I am open to miracles. Say it, breathe it, anchor it into every time anxiety creeps up on you. I had this one moment where I had full-blown anxiety. I was in New York City and I am a photographer as well. And now recently I've transitioned out of that, but I have expensive gear that I have invested in and I shoot weddings for a living. So I'm in New York City and I have this expensive camera and I was with my kids and I was just done yelling at one of my children for leaving his cell phone somewhere. And I said, hey, stop doing that. You got to be careful with your stuff. Anyway, we get to New York City hotel. I realize my camera is missing. My $3,000 camera, plus the lens, which is probably another $1,500 missing. And I'm freaking out. My kids and my husband went to watch a baseball game. I had probably 5% on my cell phone. I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. I was calling around. I was about a couple blocks away from Grand Central Station. So I went there and I guess I left my camera on the subway. When I get there, they say that they cannot do anything right now and hopefully someone will return it and I should come back at 7 a.m. So I found myself in this mode of feeling so out of control that everything was out of my control. I couldn't get my camera back. I couldn't do anything about it. And so I had to surrender. And so I asked myself the question, is this the end of the world right now? What if you did lose your camera? And then I went to, you know what? If it's meant to be found, it will be found. And I have faith that it will be found. And the next morning, I walked to the Grand Central Station and I asked Lost and Found, hey, did you find a camera? Reluctantly, I'm like, did you find a camera? And the night before, I had spent all night just walking the streets of New York City, buying a homeless guy a hot dog. And I said, hey, like, universe, whatever is meant to be right now will be. And I release all control. And when I asked for my camera, if they had found a camera, she said, yes, there was a nice man that returned the camera for you. And I was like, oh, it was like the heavens and the cloud just came down. And I was like, wow. So really understand that your manifestations are in your control when you let go of all external control. So remember that control is a trauma response. When we grip, it's because somewhere deep down, we don't feel safe, but you can rewire that in your brain. You can choose faith over fear again and again. And the more you let it go, the more flow enters your life. And there's been so many circumstances that this has happened to me, where I'm like, wow, the universe really has my back right now. And recognizing that everything happens for a reason, either to teach us something or to show us a different way. So understand that even though you can't control it, the universe is always protecting you in some way. And it has your best interests at heart. So you just let go of that trauma response of control, accept the things that are going to come your way, and manage it in a solution-based mindset versus a control mindset or a desperate mindset. And another thing I really want to say is that when you don't think of the outcome and you're just moving through the process of change or moving through the process of the feeling of what you want, you're enjoying the process of doing it rather than receiving it. Because if you know what's already yours is yours, the process will be more aligned and fun. You want to make your life not one that when you die, you say, hey, like, I didn't even live my life. I got everything I wanted. I got the $1 million. I got the house. I got the car. But I did it while hustling and I was not fulfilled. So how are you going to show up in your life as the fulfilled version of you who manifests things easily? Well, it starts with alignment and it starts with letting go of all the control, letting go of the outcome. That all you have to do is allow. All you have to do is align. All you have to do is trust, surrender in the process of manifesting whatever it is that you need. And a good way that I like to do this is 1 is meditate. 2 is EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, which I do almost every single day, depending on how I feel. Sometimes I'll make up a script. Sometimes I'll find one online and they usually really, really help the way I think. And when I feel moments of panic, I feel like those are the moments that I can ground my nervous system back in. You need to come back to yourself by really centering yourself through your nervous system. Your nervous system is where all of your control is. So if you're holding on tightly to things, it feels like your nervous system is being attacked and you have no control over that either. So you really want to center yourself, take breaths, and do whatever it takes to ground your energy so that you can come from a place of clear decision making when it comes to moments of panic or you losing control, like me losing my expensive camera. Because there was a panic, my body was quivering, shaking, but as soon as I breathed and centered myself, I said, all right, this is not worst case scenario right now. I'm going to the outcome before I've even surrendered all control over this thing. And I don't have control over it. So what can I do? Well, I would rather do it in a way that is feeling grounded and in my own energy than trying to control the situation and having the same outcome. Because regardless, the guy that returned the camera. But I like to think that because I let go of all control and detachment, that he returned the camera, or it met the right person, or it aligned with the right person that returned that camera for me. And we all know in New York City, it is a busy city. No one loses a camera on the subway and gets it back. So the fact that that happened to me was it was a beautiful moment. I did post a picture of me like holding up my camera and kissing it and saying, I found my baby. But you know, what is the worst that could have happened? That if I lost my camera, I lost a bunch of money or I got insurance. I don't know. But the clear thinking doesn't come when you're in that panic mode. And most of us are really like trained to think about worst case scenario and those things. That control is just that like thing we think keeps us safe, but it really doesn't. It just makes things worse. And if you have a kid like mine who uncontrollably goes into trauma response and like freaks out over everything, you know, it's difficult because you have to teach your kids too by modeling that kind of reaction when something does go wrong. And it makes manifesting way easier when you just allow things to happen and when you don't focus on the energy of that negative outcome, you know, and just like have faith and have that regardless, this is happening for a reason. I'll give you one more example before we go, and this one's a big one. So I was sitting in my room of like this year, it was this year, and backstory, I've been thinking a lot about redoing my floors upstairs. And I said to my husband, I'm like, I don't really like our floors. I really want them done, but we weren't ready to do them because they're expensive to do. So I'm sitting in my bedroom. I get up and all of a sudden I'm standing in puddles of water. I'm like, what is happening? The floor is covered in water in my bedroom. I go out in the hallway. It is flooded with water. It's coming from the bathroom toilet and it's just water running through. So I'm a little freaking out right now. So I call my husband. He's not home. I'm like, hey, how do I stop this water from running? And he tells me how to do it. So then I switched off and then I was like, okay, breathe through this. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right. And I had to center myself. I said, whatever this is, why is this happening? This is happening for a reason. I don't know why. It's okay. I'm going to manage. And my son, who was really sick that night, he was downstairs. He was like, oh my gosh, mom, come down here. So I go downstairs and there's where I'm sitting right now in my basement. And actually there's lights popping out of the ceiling right now. You can't see them, but the water was coming through the floor. And I said, okay, we're going to put some buckets under this and we're going to, fill up those buckets so we don't flood. And luckily, all my gear, all my computer stuff, my camera stuff was out of the way. I had moved it the day before. I was like, oh, thank God that didn't like get ruined, right? And then all of a sudden, the fire alarm goes off and it's like ringing in my ears. And I'm like, just breathe through this, Sherry. It's okay. And my husband's on the phone yelling. He's like, oh my God, I have so much. This is going to cost so much money. It's so, I don't know, so much work. And I was like, okay, breathe through it, Sherry. It's okay. I said, it's okay. And I hung up and I went upstairs and I sat on the couch with my boys and the fire alarm was going off really loud. I couldn't turn it off. I tried. And I said, I'm just going to sit here with the alarm going off and hurting my ears, but I'm just going to sit here and wait and hope for the best. And my husband comes home and we're talking about, all of the damage. And he says, well, I wonder if insurance will cover this. And I said, well, call. And usually insurance doesn't cover everything. And luckily for us, insurance did cover it. And my husband is a handy guy. So he's like, well, I can do all the work if they want to pay us out for this. Like, I can do it and we can save money. So I said, cool. Well, I wasn't expecting the amount that they were going to give us for these fixes and Airbnbs to stay somewhere else. Like, it was unreal. It was probably double what I thought it was. So in the meantime, we're saving money. My husband's going to fix it up himself. And the universe worked for me. I'm getting my new floors. So that's just one example, two examples for you of just letting go of control when you think that everything's going to shit. And at the end of the day, nothing in this world is really real. Like, you think about it, when we die, like, we go to another realm. This is all physical. Everything here is physical, and we actually don't need as much as we think we need. So if we focus on the energy behind those things that give us, fulfillment and happiness, we can really start to live in the present with those things and align ourselves with the bigger things. So it's really truly aligning yourself with embodying the things around you that you already have and the things that you want, acting as if you already have them. And the more we focus on what we don't have, we're not really calling in the things that we really, really, really desire and we should. So remember, detachment is power. The most powerful version of you She's grounded. She's calm. She knows if it's aligned, it is mine. If not, something better is coming. And she doesn't chase. She attracts. She walks like it's already done because energetically, it is. So start living as if it's yours already, not because you're faking it, but because you trust it's already on its way. Because you remember that it is for you, and whatever is meant for you in your highest good will be for you. You don't need to worry. You don't need to stress. You don't need to control everything or everyone. You just need to embody that and know that everything is working out for you. So if you're ready to manifest from a place of calm, confidence, instead of control and chaos, drop it in the comments right now and let me know. Tell me I release control. I trust my power. And if this hits home for you today, give it a like with the bell thing. You know, I'm new to this channel here. Subscribe, share it with another. Tell someone who needs a reminder that they're not behind, that you're right on time. There is no such thing as being behind. We are exactly where we're meant to be. So remember that each and every day. So until next time, stay rebellious, stay rooted, and remember, you don't manifest by forcing. You manifest by freeing.